Welcome back to the second devlog for the Untitled Maze TD. This week I really wanted to get the core mechanics of the game loop working. As with any TD, you build a defense, see how well it goes against the wave, and gain rewards to build a stronger defense to face an even stronger wave. Let's get a monster wave spawning, a life counter to see how well we're doing, and a way of tracking kills and the gold we get from kills. To do this, I'm remembering key aspects of the game in what is called a game mode in Unreal. What's useful about it is that we can find the game mode easily in any blueprint we make. If the UI needs to know how much gold we have, it can ask the game mode. If the wave spawner needs to know what wave we're on, it can ask the game mode. While you might not want to do this on larger projects, as you might have multiple game modes, for this, I feel it's a safe assumption this will be the only one. In the game mode, we make various getters and setters for these values, as well as setting the state of the game. Now, when I hit the button to spawn a wave, it can ask the game mode if it's even allowed to spawn it, and if so, what wave it is on. Just to make sure this is all working, I made the monster's health equal to 5 times the wave number, and its gold worth equal to the wave number itself. This is wildly imbalanced, but lets me very roughly test how it feels to fight the waves increasing in difficulty. Eventually, I'll need to make it so the wave spawner can create different profiles of enemies to spawn within a wave, but basics first. Great, this seems to be working. But right now towers are free, and I'm pretty sure given the lumber and stone needed to make them, we're getting way too good of a deal at the moment. The base structure now has a cost, and when I go to build a structure we ask the game mode if we even have that much gold, and if not, it is now blocked. If we do have enough, we lose that currency, and the building is allowed to be placed. For testing towers, we will take 10 gold, and amazing stones take only 5. Again, super rough numbers, and as I messed around with varying costs, varying base healths of enemies, and varying tower damage values, the game was either impossible or way too easy. But it kinda plays, and it is now time to start trying to implement a main aspect of the core game loop. Amazing tower defenses are often about finding the best maze you can make on a map, and how to best leverage the path to get your towers to deal as much damage as possible. But often there's a dominant maze structure, and there's little reason to deviate from it. I want to inject some different challenges within a single run. What happens if there's an existing suboptimal placement of blocks and you have to work around it? What happens if you start with a free tower but it's at a critical pathing spot that makes it harder to maze around? What if the monsters have different patterns that make some strategies weaker, like fire imps that are resistant to slow? Now, I see 2 ways to really approach this. Utilize randomness, randomizing what enemies you might face, placement of structures, towers you have available, upgrades you can get, or bonus events that randomly happen. This can create a ton of variety, but it's very possible the variety just isn't that fun. The second approach, and what I think I'm going to go with, is to create more tailored experiences and allow players to combine them to create a unique variation to play against. You can pick the map you want to play on, the default maze layout you start with, the enemy waves you want to fight, and the towers you want to run. Some randomness can still be applied to this, but this gives player control over what they face and creates an incentive to beat all the possible combinations. With all that said, I did, however, start to try to implement the randomization option, and I think it serves as a good example why I want to get the basics up and running to test it. I worked for a bit in getting random stone placement working to see how true random felt, and the answer was awful. In most cases the maze I got was useless, didn't pose any interesting problems, and it was early enough where I don't have enough resources to build to really take advantage of the layout. Feeling this problem early on this hard, even without proper balancing or any enemy and tower variety, was a big red flag. So I stopped, provided a way to manually set a pattern to play with, and immediately had a more interesting experience. I had enough maze to work with at the start, and as I got more resources I could break apart the maze to better optimize it. Feeling more confident in this direction has me excited to start expanding the options. In other news, we avoided distractions, mostly. At multiple points I wanted to stop and mess around with various art experiments to see what style I might want to try, or update my test tent map and artwork so they don't look so rough to look at. Damage numbers, however, those ate some of my time. Did they need a small little fading animation? No. Did I need to then go back and update the animation of slightly more scaling change? No. Or spend 35 minutes trying to understand why it flashed on the screen for 1 frame before attaching to the tower? No. But given what I could have been distracted by, these numbers are not the worst thing to spend some time on. But yeah, that finishes up this week. We got something playable, and have many of the core systems ready to be expanded on. I'm excited for the upcoming week, and I should really be able to start making this game feel like a real game. Have a great week everyone, and goodbye.